If there is to be reconciliation, first there must be truth.
Hello listeners, I'm your host Sienna David and I'm here with the USS podcast, Evie, Mays, and Ivan Matt. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that we are fortunate to be able to do this podcast on the traditional Ucluelet land. First, we will be discussing our understanding and opinions on truth and reconciliation, as well as asking questions to our local knowledge holder, Grace George. We will be asking her questions to get a better understanding and a different point of view on this topic. Toward the end, we will be doing a reflection on what was discussed and talk about new things we learned and what stood out to us. The intention of this podcast is to honor Truth and Reconciliation Day in Canada. First, we will be asking each other questions regarding truth and reconciliation.
One question I have about truth and reconciliation is, why is the truth about the past important to talk to you about today?
To me, the truth about the past is an important topic to talk about because I feel like every single one of the students that were in the residential schools were really left in the dark, and the truth about residential schools never fully came out because they were so isolated from their families. So talking about it now probably lifts a weight off their chest that they've been holding on to for a while. Speaking of truth, to you, what does the truth mean in Truth and Reconciliation?
So what truth means to me in the Truth and Reconciliation is all the information that was kind of put behind doors and not open to the public, like residential schools and what went on there, or 60s scoop and all that stuff, and then even stuff that was forced onto Indigenous people, like the Indian Act or forced reservations. And I think it's very important for these truths to be known.
I heard you mention 60 scoop. Do you think you could expand on that?
Yeah, so the 60 scoop was a large-scale removal of Indigenous children from their homes because they were worried about their well-being and stuff, and instead of kind of like helping the families out, they just took the children without even really consulting them and putting them into non-Indigenous homes and kind of wrecking the community and families.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Last question we have is, what do you think about when talking about residential schools?
I think of how long it took for them to close, or how the kids had to live there and were not allowed to visit their family or interact with them. And I really hope the survivors are getting the healing they need.
Now that we've asked each other some questions, we will be moving on to our guest. So before we start, I would just like to welcome you and say that we are very grateful that you were able to come in today. Would you like to introduce yourself to the podcast?
Classisch Naskisia Kuas MT och ish Grace George Mamashli MT His Quistas Hash Satha His Dikshish Ahusataksum Eots Clayoquot Hahushi Chu.
Thank you. I understand that this is a very emotional and touchy subject, so you could let us know if you need a break at any moment during this podcast. And yeah, thank you. So the first question I have for you is, do you think that there could be more discoveries about what happened in residential schools, or that someone will speak up about more of it?
I truly think they will discover more bodies, because now the count is up to 10,000 bodies they found. But there are places that haven't been checked yet. Kakawas, which is right behind Opitsit, Christie it was called, it hasn't been done yet. There's ground penetration, but also I feel people that live by the ocean or some kind of river, they can find more bodies there, because that's the most easiest way to get rid of a body, is just put it in the water. So I think there's more bodies out there than they're willing to admit. And I hope more people speak out about some of the missing people that are there, because I know a lady from Opizit who said she saw her brother walk with the priest or the brother. They left Christie and they went to the lake, and he never came back. She kept asking, "Where's my little brother? Where's my little brother?" "Oh, he's there, he's there." And she said they never ever would admit that he just never came back.
Crazy. For you saying you hope people speak up, what's something that motivates you for reconciliation?
Just so that we get a better understanding of each other, and reconciliation means trying to get along with each other. And one of the ways that is happening now is, like I always said, that Ucluelet School was the model for reconciliation, because you both attended there. You know what you went through, learning the language, involving everybody in the singing and dancing. Didn't matter. You didn't have to be First Nations. It didn't. And I involved Sienna and Evie. You were both involved in all dancing. You guys were my leaders, and I took a lot of flack for that. But like, I was taught how to sing and dance in my home. That's how I taught Sienna. First time you were the quiet seek in kindergarten, people couldn't believe, where did she get that voice? And it was because we did it at home, and so I always really look up to Mrs. Stone for doing whatever she's done for our school, to include everybody and to really, really be compassionate about the First Nations people, because a lot of times we were just pushed aside, and so I always really put my hands up to her, because I learned to appreciate myself. I used to just do things, and she always said, no, you need to take time, don't wear yourself out. So, like, she always knew when I needed that time. So I really appreciate everything she's done for me. But I still put it up high on the pedestal, our school that I was at for all those years, because they've come a long ways.
Thank you. Why does truth play such a big role in healing to you?
Because the truth, when I see truth and reconciliation, I see it as they didn't believe us before. They never believed a lot of the things that children were saying and doing, and another thing, a lot of the places didn't get charged with why my child never came home. It was just put under the rug. And truth, they're finally seeing the truth of it all, You can't deny 215 bodies found in unmarked graves in Kamloops. That was the truth. And all these other places that are coming forward with all the bodies that are buried there, they finally can't deny that it happened. And the reconciliation part I see as us all trying to get along with each other. And finally, like, even willing to speak the truth, and be believed, Now people are believing in what happened to other people when it did.
Going back to you talking about how everything was taken, from then to now, do you see a change in culture, and do you see it coming back? Or do you think it was too brutally affected by the impacts of the residential schools?
Culture has really changed since over the years. It just has really changed. I was taught growing up by my mother to only dance for the house that you come from, and we're from the house of Hashtata. And only to dance for my dad. But she said if another chief asks you to dance and it has to be the chief, you dance for them. That's one of the things that has really changed in dancing. And when you dance for the House of Hashata, especially the Hidkits, which is the chief's dance, it's a sacred dance to us. We feel it's sacred. And a lot of people still think that. For House of Hashsat, we have to dance the Hidkits barefooted, nothing on, no socks, no moccasins, just our bare feet. So I've had to dance on rocks when we had an opening of the school in a house at just pebbles, and they hurt our feet, but we all danced on it. And some of the songs change through time because different people learn different things. They hear it, and they be, so there's some change there in the way a song is sung. So, I'm just trying to emphasize, you do teaching to the young kids when they're really young. You can teach them fun dances, which is what I taught you guys in Tofino at Wicked. Lots of fun dances anybody can do, and you don't have to be a certain age. But that's why you have fun dances for everyone to do. But the more serious dances, the more once the chief's own, you have to just make sure you follow. So there's a lot of things that have changed and things that have also stayed the same in culture, A lot of First Nations people have lost their culture, their language, their dances because of residential school. Luckily, a lot of the Nuu-chah-nulth is still there. Yeah.
Another question we've come up with is, do you think that there's something that the government should absolutely be doing for reconciling?
I think they should put more funding towards different things. I want to see a lot of that come into effect where the parents are coming in and learning along with their children. Or I could have a class with and teaching the parents how to wake you up and get ready for school, and things like that, just everyday things. And if you practice it enough, it gets up there in your brain, So now at the school, Mark and them are doing that. Open the door, close the door, turn the lights off, shut the lights off. And they're doing it just by introducing little things like that. And so I'd like to see a lot of that done because it's going to take forever. We're losing our fluent speakers. I don't know how many each tribe has, but I'm from the biggest band and we're really, really dwindled now.
Do you feel that talking about this and being able to hear questions is giving certain survivors the justice they deserve?
I guess in a way it is. I can't honestly say it would really help them because it's kind of a hard question to answer for me. Maybe if I was a survivor, I could answer it better, but I find this question hard to answer.
Okay. So when you were talking in front of the class, you talked about your father, that he stopped going to school. Did he get to keep some of his culture?
Yes, he did. Back then, I don't know how old he was when his father finally came to pick him up from residential school. Mm-hmm. He might have been. I know he was taken in there when he was 2. He never ever mentioned what age he was when his father came back. But back then they would have been teaching his father would have been teaching my dad what his role was in life. that he was the tiny hotwith of a housen, that he was never to brag about it. And so I don't think my dad lost his culture. He didn't lose his language. Him and my mom, that's all they spoke to each other. They never spoke English. And we used to say they must be talking about something we've done because they don't want us to know.
That's all the questions we have for you today, but is there anything else that you wanted to say but it wasn't a question?
No, I'm just really happy to see all of the children of today willing to learn about not only Nuu-chah-nulth cultures, all the other cultures. I'm really happy to see there's land acknowledgement wherever you go. Even on TV, you'll hear Global say we're on a traditional territory. And and I like that's all coming out, and that more of the young people are learning. So that was really cool to see, and I'm so happy to see it.
Well, thank you for coming in and answering our question. I thought it was really cool hearing just what you have to say about your siblings and you think we are improving on. Before we wrap up, Evie, I would like to ask you if anything stood out to you when Grace was here.
Something that stood out to me was when she was talking about how what was like helping bring back the culture was including everybody in dances and letting everybody sing and dance and learn the culture that way. So that really stood out to me. What stood out to you, Sienna?
I think it was just really cool in general how she was speaking for all of her siblings that went to residential schools and how she was still giving us her opinion on how she sees everything. Ivan, what's your input on what Grace said?
What Grace said, I was interested in when she's talking about there might be more bodies in one of the residential schools.
As we are ending this podcast, I would like to thank my team, Evie and Ivan, as well as our guest, Grace George, for being here and answering our questions. I hope you had fun listening to our podcast, and as Timothy B. Tyson said, if there is to be reconciliation, first there must be truth.